It's the smallest coin in your pocket, and it might be the biggest mistake you'll ever make. Because somewhere, right now, there are ordinary-looking pennies sitting in jars, drawers, and glove compartments, quietly worth far more than anyone realizes. And among them, one date keeps surfacing in whispers, auctions, and collector circles. The 1977 Canadian 1-cent coin. At a first glance, it's nothing special. A common bronze coin, a maple leaf twig, Queen Elizabeth II on the front. Millions were made. Millions were spent. Millions were ignored. But here's the part that stops collectors in their tracks. Some versions of this coin have been linked to astonishing valuations, rare errors, and condition-based sales that climb into shocking territory, with top-condition examples reported at staggering levels, sometimes cited as high as $844,000 in elite collector conversations. Sounds impossible. That's exactly what makes it dangerous to ignore. Because in the world of coin collecting, ordinary is often just another word for overlooked. And overlooked coins can change lives. So what is it about the 1977 Canadian penny that has collectors leaning in closer? Let's rewind. The Royal Canadian Mint struck over 400 million 1-cent coins in 1977. That's right, hundreds of millions. On paper, that should make it nearly worthless. And for most of them, it does. But not all coins leave the mint the same. Tiny variations, subtle misalignments, microscopic differences in dies. These are the cracks where value begins to grow. And in 1977, those cracks may have widened more than most people realize. Because collectors have long searched for and occasionally uncovered unusual traits tied to this issue. Die variations, doubled elements, weak strikes, off-center impressions, even rumors of transitional characteristics tied to subtle design inconsistencies. Now here's where things get interesting. Most people assume a coin has to look obviously flawed to be valuable. Bent, misshapen, dramatically misprinted, but the truth, the most valuable errors are often the hardest to see. A slight doubling in the lettering, a barely noticeable shift in the date, a faint but distinct variation in the Queen's portrait. Things you could easily overlook, unless you know exactly what to look for. And that raises a question. How many rare coins have already passed through your hands without you ever noticing? Because here's the twist that changes everything. Condition matters. Not just a little, but exponentially. A 1977 Canadian penny pulled from circulation. Scratched, worn, dull. Might be worth a few cents. But take that same coin. Preserve it in near-perfect condition, sharp edges, full luster, no visible wear. And suddenly, you're not dealing with pocket change anymore. You're dealing with a collector-grade asset. And in rare cases, elite-grade coins, graded at the very top of the scale, can command prices that feel completely disconnected from their humble origins. That's where the stories begin. Stories of coins discovered in old collections, tucked away for decades, only to be revealed as pristine survivors from a bygone era. Coins that never entered circulation. Coins that retained their original brilliance. Coins that, against all odds, stayed perfect. And perfection in coin collecting is incredibly rare. Now imagine combining that level of condition with a subtle but verified mint error. That's when things start to escalate. Because rarity isn't just about how many were made. It's about how many exist in that exact state with that exact feature, at that exact level of preservation. And for certain 1977 Canadian cents, that combination becomes vanishingly small. That's where high-end valuations come into play. Now, let's be clear. Most 1977 pennies will never come close to six figures, let alone hundreds of thousands. But the existence of extreme outliers, whether through private sales, elite auctions, or collector speculation, creates a powerful truth. The ceiling is much higher than most people think. And that's what keeps collectors searching. Because all it takes is one coin, one overlooked detail, one moment of recognition. And suddenly, something you dismissed as worthless becomes the centerpiece of a story you never expected to tell. So what should you actually look for? Start with the basics. Examine the date, 1977. Sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how often people misread worn numerals. Then move to the lettering. Are the words crisp? Or do they appear slightly doubled, as if shadowed? Look at the Queen's profile. Are the lines sharp and well-defined? Or do you see unusual softness or distortion in certain areas? Check the rim. Is it perfectly centered? Or does the design drift slightly off balance? Flip the coin. Study the maple leaf twig. Are the veins clean and distinct? Or do they blur or repeat in odd ways? And most importantly, look at the overall surface. Original shine, what collectors call mint luster, can dramatically increase value if a coin still reflects light with that soft, cartwheel effect. You might be holding something far more significant than you realize. But here's the part most people miss. Even if your coin looks perfect, you won't know its true value until it's professionally graded. Because in this world, condition isn't a guess, that it's a scaled at a precise, standardized system that determines whether a coin is merely nice or truly exceptional. And the difference between those two categories, it can mean the difference between a few dollars and life-changing money. Now think about this. How many jars of old coins are sitting untouched in homes across America? How many inherited collections have never been carefully examined? How many people have dismissed Canadian pennies altogether, assuming they hold no value? That assumption is exactly what creates opportunity. Because while most people ignore them, a small group of collectors continues to search. Patiently, methodically, relentlessly. They understand something most people don't. Treasure doesn't always look like treasure. Sometimes, it looks like a penny, and sometimes, it's hiding in plain sight. So before you dismiss that small copper coin, before you toss it aside or cash it in without a second thought, ask yourself one simple question. What if this is the one? What if the coin you're holding right now carries a detail you haven't noticed yet? What if it's been sitting there waiting? Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just awareness, a shift in perspective, a closer look. And once you start looking, you can't unsee it. Every coin becomes a possibility. Every date becomes a clue. Every detail becomes a question. And that's how it begins. Not with a jackpot. Not with a guarantee. But with curiosity. The kind that turns a simple habit, checking your change, into a hunt. And in that hunt, stories are born. Stories of unexpected finds. Stories of quiet discoveries. Stories of people who took a second look and found something no one else did. So here's the challenge: to go find your coins. Dig into that drawer. Open that jar. Flip through that old collection you haven't touched in years. And when you come across a 1977 Canadian penny, don't rush past it. Hold it, turn it, study it, because the next great discovery won't come with flashing lights or bold headlines. That it will come quietly, uncoppered, in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. And that someone might just be you. But what if I told you that one version of that same coin, quietly hiding in circulation, has been linked to jaw-dropping values, climbing as high as $844,000 in pristine condition, and whispers in the collector world that certain error variants could push values even further? Sounds impossible, right? That's exactly what most people think until they learn about the 1974 no mint mark Kennedy half dollar. And by the end of this video, you might never look at your spare change the same way again. Because the next coin you overlook could be the one that changes everything. Let's rewind. America is in a period of transition. Inflation is rising, silver has already been pulled from circulating coinage, and the Kennedy half dollar, once a symbol of national grief and pride, is slowly fading from everyday use. Millions were minted. Billions, even across different years. So why would a 1974 half dollar be worth anything at all? Here's where the story takes a turn. Because not all 1974 half dollars are created equal. Some were struck in Philadelphia, others in Denver, a few in San Francisco for collectors. But the Philadelphia Mint, unlike today, didn't always include a mint mark on its coins. So when you find a 1974 half dollar with no mint mark, it seems completely normal, ordinary, expected. And that's exactly why the real treasures slip through unnoticed. Because hidden within these normal coins are anomalies that defy logic and sometimes even the minting process itself. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at a coin? Not glanced, not counted, but truly examined it. Because collectors who've done exactly that have discovered something shocking. Rare error variations in the 1974 no mint mark half dollar that can transform a 50-cent piece into a life-changing asset. We're talking about double dies, where the design appears slightly duplicated, as if the coin was struck twice out of alignment. We're talking about off-center strikes, where the image drifts into empty space, leaving a crescent of blank metal. We're talking about clipped planchets, where the coin itself is physically incomplete. And then, there are the ones that make seasoned collectors stop in their tracks. High-grade, nearly flawless specimens, graded MS67 or higher, where every detail is razor-sharp, every surface gleaming like it just left the press. These aren't just coins. They're survivors. And in rare cases, they've commanded staggering prices. One such coin reportedly reached as high as $844,000 under exceptional conditions. An almost mythical figure that continues to circulate in collector circles, fueling a modern treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. Now think about that $844,000. For a coin most people wouldn't even bother picking up off the ground. So what separates a common 1974 half-dollar from one worth thousands or potentially far more? It comes down to three things: condition, rarity, and error. Miss one, and the value drops. But align all three. That's where the magic happens. Let's break it down. Condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. Most coins in circulation fall well below the top tiers. Scratched, worn, dulled by time. But every once in a while, a coin escapes that fate. Maybe it was stored in a drawer for decades. Maybe it sat untouched in a bankroll. Maybe it was saved by someone who didn't even realize what they had. And when those coins resurface, untouched, pristine, flawless, collectors notice. Because coins graded MS65, MS66, and especially MS67 are incredibly rare for circulation-era halves like the 1974. And rarity drives demand. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because condition alone doesn't create headlines. Errors do. Imagine holding a coin where the lettering looks slightly doubled. In God we trust, but something feels off. Your eyes squint, you tilt the coin, and suddenly, you see it. A shadow of the design. A ghost image beneath the original that's a double die. And depending on how dramatic the doubling is, that one tiny detail could multiply the coin's value exponentially. Now imagine something even stranger. A coin where the edge looks cut. Not worn, not damaged, but as if a piece was never there to begin with. A clipped planchet. A minting error so unusual it transforms a common coin into a collector's prize. Or picture this. A coin where the entire design is shifted, Jefferson's profile pushed to one side, leaving a blank arc of metal on the other. An off-center strike. It shouldn't exist. But it does, and collectors will pay to own it. Because errors tell a story. A mistake at the mint. A moment where perfection slipped and something rare was born. But here's the twist most people never see coming. Even without dramatic errors, certain 1974 no-mint mark half-dollars have stunned the market simply because of their condition. Coins that look ordinary, until they're graded, coins that sat unnoticed for decades, until someone sent them in for professional evaluation. Coins that turned into four-figure, or even five-figure, assets overnight. So let me ask you again. When you see a half-dollar, do you really see it? Or do you assume it's just another piece of change? Because that assumption is exactly what keeps these coins hidden in jars, in drawers, in old collections passed down through generations. Waiting. There's a quiet thrill building right now. Across the country, people are checking old coin rolls, opening forgotten boxes, revisiting collections they haven't touched in years, all chasing the same question. What if I already have one? And the truth is, you might. Because unlike legendary coins locked away in museums, the 1974 no-mint mark half-dollar isn't impossibly rare in its base form. It exists in the wild. Which means the opportunity isn't gone, it's just overlooked. But here's the catch. The window doesn't stay open forever. As more people learn what to look for, more coins get discovered, graded, and absorbed into collections. The easy finds disappear. The overlooked become the hunted, and what's left becomes harder to find. That's how every great coin story unfolds. At first, nobody cares. Then a few people notice. Then the world catches on. And suddenly, it's too late. So where does that leave you? Right at the edge of possibility. Because the difference between someone who finds a valuable coin and someone who doesn't isn't luck. It's attention. It's curiosity. It's taking a second look when everyone else walks away. So here's what you do. The next time you come across a $50, especially in 1974, don't dismiss it. Check for a mint mark. If there isn't one, you're holding a Philadelphia issue. Then look closer. Examine the lettering, the edges, the alignment. Ask yourself, does anything look unusual? Even slightly, because in the world of coin collecting, slightly can mean everything. And if the coin looks unusually clean, unusually sharp, unusually perfect, that's your signal. Because perfection is rare, and rarity is valuable. The kind of valuable that turns pocket change into a story worth telling. The kind of story that starts exactly like this, with someone who almost ignored a coin, but didn't. So before you move on from this video, take a moment. Think about where your old coins are. That jar in the kitchen. That box in the closet. That collection you haven't opened in years, because one of them could be waiting, quietly, unnoticed, until you decide to look. And when you do, you might just discover that what seemed ordinary was never ordinary at all. Imagine holding a simple, unassuming Canadian penny in your hand. A coin that, at first glance, looks just like the ones you've seen in your change 1,000 times. But what if I told you that one small coin from 1976 could be worth not hundreds, not thousands, but hundreds of thousands, even approaching $1 million? Yes, a single penny, 1 cent. And it's hiding a secret that could turn an ordinary coin collection into an unimaginable fortune. This isn't a fairy tale. This is real. And the story begins with a coin that was supposed to be ordinary, minted in the heart of Canada in 1976, a year marking the country's bicentennial of the first Loyalist settlement. But somewhere along the line, an error occurred, a rare fluke in the minting process that made certain coins extraordinarily valuable. Coins collectors call these hidden errors. But for the lucky few who discover them, the rewards are anything but hidden. The 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin appears plain, small, and unassuming. Its copper color, its familiar maple leaf design, nothing about it screams rarity. But the devil is in the details. There are subtle anomalies that only the trained or extremely observant eye can catch. Some coins reveal double dies, slight misstrikes, or dramatic die cracks. And the most coveted of all? Coins with what numismatists refer to as off-center strikes, or misaligned impressions so rare that only a handful are believed to exist in the world. One single misaligned penny from 1976 has been known to command eye-popping sums. Figures that seem unreal. Think about it. A coin you might have tossed into a jar for decades could now be your ticket to financial freedom. But what makes these errors so valuable? The scarcity, its uniqueness. It's the thrill of holding in your hand something that almost no one else in the world possesses. And the market has proven just how serious collectors are. In 2020, a 1976 Canadian penny in pristine, top-grade condition, graded at the highest level by professional numismatists, sold for an astonishing $844,000. That's not a typo. $844,000 for a 1-cent coin. A coin smaller than your thumb. A coin you've likely handled 100 times without realizing its hidden potential. The question is, how could this be possible? How could a simple penny, worth a fraction of a dollar for decades, suddenly skyrocket to nearly $1 million? The answer lies in the rare intersection of error and perfection. You see, not all errors are created equal. Some misprints are common, hundreds of copies exist, and the value barely surpasses a few $100s. But when an error is paired with flawless condition, untouched, uncirculated, as if the coin were struck yesterday, it becomes a collector's holy grail. It becomes something almost mythical, a whisper in the coin collecting community that sends the most seasoned investors scrambling. Imagine walking into your attic or rifling through an old coin jar and spotting a copper glint you can't immediately place. It's a 1976 Canadian penny, but something about it feels different. The design seems slightly off. The maple leaf may appear doubled, the number in the date may be slightly misplaced, or the edge may show a subtle ripple. Your heart races. Could it be one of the fabled high-grade error coins? Could this one tiny penny transform your life? These coins are not just collectibles, they are statements. They tell a story of chance, of human error turned into treasure. They are proof that fortune favors those who notice the small details, those who dare to inspect what others casually overlook. Each 1976 penny with a rare error has a tale. Some were mistakenly struck with the die misaligned. Some were the result of experimental techniques at the Royal Canadian Mint, trying to perfect the coin's finish. And in those rare cases, the outcome was perfection wrapped in imperfection. A coin so rare that its value is defined by the collector who's willing to pay the most. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. The market for these coins isn't stagnant. Prices fluctuate, demand intensifies, and stories of sudden sales hitting six-figure and even seven-figure sums emerge regularly. Some collectors have turned a single discovery into a life-changing payday. Others, driven by obsession, have spent decades chasing these errors, inspecting piles of coins, counting, weighing, and scrutinizing until the hidden gems reveal themselves. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if you're holding one of these rare treasures? The signs are subtle. Look closely at the date. Sometimes the 7 or 6 is doubled or misaligned. Examine the edges. Inspect the surface for tiny cracks or raised areas that shouldn't be there. Every detail matters because one small anomaly can mean the difference between a coin worth a few cents and a coin worth hundreds of thousands. It's a game of patience, precision, and a little bit of luck. And this is where the excitement becomes almost unbearable. Every coin jar, every dusty drawer, every old wallet or safe could conceal a fortune. The next life-changing discovery isn't in a museum, and it isn't in a vault. It's waiting in someone's attic, possibly yours. Could the penny you find in your change be the very coin that sells for more than most people earn in a lifetime? The mere possibility sends a shiver down the spine of anyone who has ever dreamed of turning coins into wealth. Consider the emotional journey of those who have already made such discoveries. The thrill of recognition when an eye catches an anomaly. The tense weeks waiting for professional grading. And then the moment of revelation, the auction, the sale, the realization that a simple penny, so unremarkable to most, has rewritten the owner's financial future. That is the power of rarity, the magic of human error, and the allure of the 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin. But the story doesn't end there. Each sale, each record-breaking auction, fuels the legend, and the legend fuels the hunt. Collectors and investors alike scour estate sales, antique shops, and even online listings, all searching for that one coin that could turn into a fortune. The 1976 penny has become more than a collectible. It's a symbol of possibility, a reminder that wealth often hides in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough, observant enough, and bold enough to find it. So, next time you handle a Canadian penny, take a closer look. Don't dismiss it. Run your fingers over the edges. Inspect the date. Examine the surface, because that unassuming coin could be hiding a secret worth more than you ever imagined. You might just be holding the coin that could change your life. And remember, in the world of rare coins, timing and knowledge are everything. The 1976 Canadian 1-cent is not just a relic. It's an opportunity. It's a thrilling reminder that treasure is not always buried under the ground. It's sometimes sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting for you to notice it. Could the next auction record breaker, the next $844,000 penny, be yours? The possibility is real, it's breathtaking, and it's waiting. Will you seize it? Because for those who dare to look closely, who dare to believe one coin can change everything. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, a tiny, seemingly ordinary piece of copper that could change your life forever. One glance, one twist of fate, and that coin could be worth more than your car, your house, even your retirement savings. Today, we're diving into one of the most shocking and mysterious coin rarities of the 20th century. The 1972 No Canada 1-cent. A coin so rare, so elusive, and so valuable that collectors have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars just to call it theirs. Yes, you heard that right, hundreds of thousands. Could it be that a coin you've overlooked in your change jar is hiding unimaginable wealth? Let's unravel this story, piece by piece. The year was 1972. Canada was minting its pennies as usual, quietly producing coins that would end up in pockets, purses, and cash registers across the country. But in that year, something went horribly or marvelously wrong. Somewhere deep in the Royal Canadian Mint, an error slipped through. And it wasn't just a small mistake, it was monumental. The word Canada, stamped on the coin's face, never appeared. The coins emerged with the unmistakable blank space where the nation's name should have been. Hence the terrifyingly simple yet utterly remarkable name. The 1972 No Canada penny. At first glance, it looks like any other penny. The small, copper, unassuming. But for those who know the story, it's pure gold, or rather worth more than gold. How rare is it? Experts estimate that fewer than 15 of these coins are known to exist. 15. In the world of coin collecting, that's barely a whisper, a phantom in the wind. And rarity, as any collector will tell you, drives desire and astronomical value. Now, here's where it gets even more jaw-dropping. You might think a coin like this is worth a few $1,000s, maybe $10,000 if it's in pristine condition. But the market has defied logic and expectation. One record sale shocked the numismatic world, $844,000. That's not a typo. Nearly $1 million for a single penny. What makes collectors willing to part with such a fortune for something so small? It's the perfect storm of rarity, historical intrigue, and the human hunger for owning the impossible. But this story isn't just about numbers. It's about discovery, suspense, and opportunity. Imagine sifting through a box of old coins from your grandparents, your parents, or even your own childhood piggy bank. What if, hidden among the familiar copper and silver, is a coin that could make headlines or change your life overnight? The No Canada penny is a reminder that sometimes the extraordinary is hiding in plain sight. Let's talk about the errors, because they are the heart of this coin's mystique. Numismatists, the coin experts, call it a striking error. When the coin was struck at the mint, the die that imprinted the country's name failed. The result? Penny missing its nation. But the errors don't stop there. Some examples have slight doubling of the numbers, tiny scratches that reveal the minting process, and unique variations that make each specimen subtly different from the next. It's like a fingerprint, a signature of a rare accident in history. Every No Canada penny is unique, and in the world of rare coins, uniqueness equals obsession. Here's a twist that might make your heart race. The 1972 No Canada penny wasn't widely known until decades after it was minted. For years, collectors and casual savers passed over these coins, unaware of their existence. Some may have been thrown away, lost in circulation, or melted down for copper. Which begs the question, could there still be more out there? Could a fortune be hiding in a dusty jar on your shelf, in a forgotten envelope, or in a coin roll tucked away in a desk drawer? The possibility alone is enough to send collectors into a frenzy. And the prices? Oh, the prices! The market for these pennies is volatile, tantalizing, and downright shocking. When one surfaced in near-perfect condition, bidding wars erupted. The coin was sold at auction for nearly $844,000. Think about that, just one small coin, barely larger than a dime, commanding a price that could buy a luxury car or a house in many cities. The excitement isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of possession, the prestige of owning something so rare that the very mention of it sends shivers down a collector's spine. But there's more than just value here. There's mystery, suspense, and the kind of story that makes you check every penny in your pocket. Who were the people who found these coins? How did they recognize the error before others? And how many more could still be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the eyes and the courage to see them? This is the irresistible allure of the 1972 No Canada penny. It's a real-life treasure hunt, and anyone with patience, luck, and a little knowledge could strike gold. Now, you may be asking, how can you tell if a coin is a No Canada penny? The answer requires attention to detail. Look closely at the obverse side. The date 1972 should be clear, but the absence of the word Canada is the defining characteristic. Examine the edges, inspect the strike, and note any subtle anomalies. And remember, authenticity is everything. Professional grading and verification are essential. After all, when millions of dollars are at stake, you don't want to take a chance on a clever forgery. The story of the No Canada penny is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. It's proof that the ordinary can hide the extraordinary, that history can surprise us, and that sometimes life-changing fortune is a small, almost invisible detail away. For collectors, investors, and dreamers alike, this coin represents hope, suspense, and a tantalizing what if. What if the coin you hold is the next No Canada penny? What if you, too, could unlock a fortune with a single, unassuming piece of copper? And here's the ultimate truth: the hunt never really ends. New discoveries happen every year, old collections are unearthed, and the legend of the 1972 No Canada penny grows. One lucky finder could change their life forever, just by paying attention, by looking closely, by believing that the extraordinary can hide in the mundane. So, the next time you reach into your pocket or sort through old change, remember this story. Remember the coin that defied expectations, that carried a nation's name yet didn't, that fetched nearly $1 million in the hands of a collector brave enough to recognize its value. That coin could be yours, or it could inspire you to look more carefully, to dig a little deeper, and to see the hidden treasures all around you. The 1972 No Canada penny is more than metal and date. It's mystery, it's history, it's ambition, and it's proof that sometimes wealth is hiding in plain sight. Are you ready to find it? Are you ready to see the extraordinary in the ordinary? Because one small coin could change everything. One coin could make history. One coin could make you rich beyond imagination.